Welcome to the show, Will.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me.
I think today we have a packed episode as we talk about leadership and moving more from overthinking into action, you know, starting to really get a grip on life, regain your agency, and do things rather than be stuck in your mind. And I think that's actually a good way for us to start this chat. So, what's your take on those people that get stuck in their head and really struggle to move into action with their ideas?
Yeah, well, you, you somehow have to get for yourself that you're never going to solve it out in here. You're never going to solve issues. To solve issues with any power, you need to bring it out into the open. In other words, have a conversation with other human beings. I coach a lot of business owners, and they can't really talk to their family about it. They can't really talk to the people who work for them, and they can't talk to the board because they're supposed to have all the answers, and this people are investing in them. And so they come to me as a coach, and let's discuss, let's get it out. What is it? What's going on? What are you engaged with? Because when you're having a conversation with yourself, which is not accurate, but I'll come back to it. When you're having a conversation with yourself, you just go around in circles, and you can be devil's advocate with yourself. You go, well, we should do this. Yeah, but if we do that, it's not like this. Yeah, but what about if you don't just have a voice in your head, you have a committee, So you're not going to get anywhere powerfully just listening to whatever's going on in your head and being at the effect of it. And mostly people are at the effect of it and avoiding actually doing anything, taking risks, testing out what their ideas are, because it's safe in there. It's like being in
Oh, yeah.
here, inside here. You kind of, it's like you're removed from life. You're cushioned from life. So it's a safer place. It occurs like a safer place to be, just in your head, having a conversation with the voice in your head. But it takes a little bit to get that voice in your head. And I can say this, but people have to discover it. They have to discover it for themselves. They can't, you can tell people things, but they don't really learn until they discover it themselves. I always use balance as an analogy. You can tell somebody how to ride a bicycle. They can watch other people. They can see how to do it. But it doesn't mean that they can then ride a bicycle.
Right.
Yeah, they have to get on the bike and, struggle with that and wobble around and fall off and get back on. And at some point, that's it. They get balance. And now they've got it. And once they've discovered that, they've got it forever. You could not ride a bicycle for 20 years, but you get a bike, you can ride it straight away. You do not forget what you discovered yourself. You discovered it. People told you about it, but you discovered it. So when I work with people, I have them discover that voice in their head is not them. See, if you're listening right now, people are listening to this, and for you could also do this, Jose. I'll be quiet for a moment and see if you can listen to the voice that's going on in your head right now.
Yeah, can definitely hear it. It's part of it is still thinking about work, part of it is thinking about this conversation. So it really feels like a committee.
It's going on all the time. Now you try not. So some people may have been listening and going, "What voice? I don't have a voice. What's he talking about?" Yeah, that's the voice. It's always talking. Now, if you don't think it's talking, I'll stop talking and see if you can not have any talking going on in your head. If you think it's you, okay, this time no talking, okay? Yeah, it's talking.
Yeah.
Yes, I can see it. When you work with people enough, and I've worked with, we counted it up, it's over 90,000 people all over the world. I led programs for 3.5 days. You can see when people are in the voice in their head. A good indication. If you're talking to someone and their eyes go up into their forehead, they're in their head. They're in
like
their
they're
mind.
listening to the brain, literally.
Yeah, literally. They're checking out from talking to you and checking in to the internal voice.
There's
And
someone upstairs.
Yeah, and it's not easy. We're kind of lightly talking about it at the moment, but when it's going, and you're getting worried, and you're getting anxious, and you're getting, stressed out with what it's saying, and you're listening to it like it's you talking, like you're really worried, you're just caught up in it. So it's very important, if you're going to be a leader, if you're going to lead other people, to be able to distinguish between you, the real you, and that voice. And to start with, what you can start to do is just notice it and not engage in it. It just says stuff. I was taking the dog I have a dog, and I was taking the dog for a walk, and I noticed this lady across the street, and I had this thought, God, she's fat. I'm like, wait. I'm not listening to that. That's not me. Wait, no. And like, I had this adversarial conversation with the voice in my head. No, I'm not listening. No, that's not me. That's you. It's automatic. Had I not had the training I've had, I could have gone into a whole conversation with myself about that.
I think that's linking really interesting with that idea that you have your brain, you have your identity, you have your being, for lack of a better word, and continuously you're receiving inputs, external inputs.
Yeah.
The lady across the street, whatever is on your phone when you're scrolling, if it's raining or if it's sunshine today, you're continuously receiving those inputs, and it's on you to decide what you do with those inputs.
Yeah. Well, you have to be mindful. You have to be able to see, like balance. You've got to be able to see it for yourself, that it's not you, and it's like a constant fight, because it's constantly trying to trick you, constantly trying to get you to think, to believe that is you talking. Now, I'll preface this. There is something called intellectual effort. Intellectual effort, when you are actually looking at let's say a mathematical problem, and you're trying to go from A to B and say, okay, we do this, but then this, but that's actually doing some thinking. When you're studying and you're really trying to see something and get something, and it hurts, your brain hurts, it makes you tired, because it's actually hard work.
Yep.
Actual intellectual effort, right? It's not easy. So there is thinking, right, where you're actually consciously you are thinking, and then there's having thoughts, which are automatic.
Interesting.
And there's a difference. And if you can start to notice the difference until you get a real facility with it, you'll start to get some freedom and some distance from those thoughts, and start to be able to really become the observer. The real you, the you that it's hard to talk about, but the real you, where you've got real power and discernment and ability to be objective.
Would you say that, so effectively you need to almost create a third person version of yourself, so you can objectively analyze those thoughts and those voices?
When you say a third person, you mean like three people, or like be able to observe yourself?
Exactly. Being able to observe yourself.
Yeah, to be able to observe what's going on with you. Somebody could say something, and I have a reaction in my stomach. Like all of a sudden, I'm threatened in some way by this person and what they're saying, or they're ruining it for me. If I'm leading a program, it was definitely early on, as somebody would get up and not be happy with the way we're, conducted the thing, or the price of the course, or what we're talking about, when they want to talk about this, right? And initially, when they used to get up, I used to get a real, a blast in the stomach. It was like, oh, like I'm being attacked, like fear. Now, I did the work on myself to be able to disappear that, so to such an extent that when people got up, I didn't have that reaction. Or if I did, I could just go, okay, not even give it any weight, not give it any, it's just my stomach. and focus on what this person's saying and being able to be with what they're saying. Now, when someone comes to the microphone and says, well, I don't agree with this, I think the days are too long, and I don't know why the sessions are done like this, and it costs this much, and who do you people think you are, blah, 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 blah. And you go, okay, good. Anything else? No? Good, thank you. Next. You don't have to react. You just have to, what we call, recreate them. Actually get what they're saying.
Sorry, you said recreate what they're saying?
Yeah. One of the greatest services you can do for the people who work for you is to recreate them. People don't listen to each other very well. We're terrible. As human beings, we're terrible at listening. Why? Because we're listening to the voice in our head that's talking about what they're saying, or whether we agree with it or disagree with it. Or, yeah, that's right. No, that's not right. Or automatically you've got the devil's advocate. Yeah, but what about this? You're in a conversation when someone's talking to you. You're not really getting them. And what you're really not getting, which takes real practice, is to really, what we call, recreate them, actually get what it's like for them. When your child comes to you and they're upset because this, and this happens, yeah, you can just fix the thing, but really, they want you to get that they're upset. I'm upset. Oh, really? Yeah. I understand. Oh, see, that is what has more, I don't want to say power, but it's more of service to the other.
Service. Because you're literally demonstrating that empathy, that you can feel what they're feeling, or at least understand it.
Yeah, or as I say, you're getting them. You get it. The experience, like you really get it. One of my mentors years ago, I've never experienced anyone that can listen like him. He was my coach, right? And I would have conversations with him. And he hardly said anything. In fact, if I asked him something, he'd go, oh, well, what do you think? I'm asking you. Yes. Well, okay. Well, we could do this. Great. Oh, yeah. Okay, good. I had all the answers. Like I live in, people have the answers. They're just not being asked the right questions.
It's interesting because in that way, from the way you're describing, it's almost like your mentor was acting as a mirror towards yourself.
Yes. But an interesting mirror. I mean, it's not just reflecting me back. It's more like, it's hard to explain, but it's like, I imagine it was like speaking into a void, into the universe, like your whole thing disappeared and there was just nothing. And then from that nothing, something came up. You could see something. That wasn't what that's all gone and gotten. He's like disappeared all that. And then now something new can come out. A new thought, a new perspective, a new idea for the problem that you're dealing with.
That's so interesting because he's not even saying much, but just from being there, you're able to arrive at the answers from your original questions.
Yeah.
Do you think it's in part with you even being able to verbalize it to someone else?
Which you are you talking about? When you're the person coming to the coach, or you're the coach?
Sorry, I meant in that example of you with your mentor. Do you think that the act of you verbalizing the question to him, is that the starting mechanism that helps you then arrive at the answers?
It's definitely part of it, but it's in the domain of being, so it's hard to just explain it. Okay, so being is if we look at ontology, it's a study of being, and if we look at my perspective, I'm studying the being of human being, and people don't be with each other. I mean, I've seen it I've gone past restaurants, in London. big windows on the restaurant, so you can actually see the people sitting there at the table, both of them looking at their phones. They're not being with each other.
Right.
And even if they don't have phones, quite often they're not being with each other. People don't even really look at each other. See, the domain of being is really connecting.
Just taking a pause because it's becoming more and more frequent. For example, even here in Portugal, among young people, I can see that quite frequently. Just you're in a group, but
Yep.
you're not really connected. You're not being with them. You're physically just next to them.
That's right. And they're all on the phones. And maybe they go, hey, look at this, and you look at that. Oh yeah. Oh, that's interesting. But the intention's going into the phone, into the medium, not being. There's no being with each other, really.
So if we do a small exercise, so let's say you're in a group of friends,
Yes.
you put down your phones.
Yes.
Let's try to be with each other. We're together. Let's try to be with each other.
Well, I'll give
From
you an
experience, I've seen
exercise
people.
that I used to.
Please.
Yeah. It's not mine. I didn't create it, right? But I used to work for a company that did this one particular exercise, which is so, on the surface, simple, but if you've not done it before, it's quite difficult to do. And it's really just to stand about, 6-8 inches away from another person, or stand, both stand there like that, right?
Mhm.
About uncomfortably close, or inside your comfort zone, like really quite close, right? Eye to eye, and just be with each other. No talking. And try that. I mean, if you can do it for 5 minutes, that's a good start. If you can do it for 20 minutes, your whole relationship with the person is going to transform. And there's no talking. They used to call it the be with exercise, right? And so it's not something I do in my programs now, but we used to do it in the old programs. But the point is, getting to what you're talking about, that if it's just a one-on-one, a human being, like, all this stuff comes up. People start giggling, or people start crying. People are so nervous. Just being with another human being.
I think it also exposes a lot of vulnerability.
Yeah.
It's right in your face. They're seeing all of you as you are. No escaping.
Yeah, but you're not doing anything. You're just being there.
Yeah.
And and then at some point, something miraculous happens. You actually get present to the being of another human being. And it's magical.
Have you personally participated as one of these participants?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I've done it a lot. I've done the exercise a lot. And
what kind of things do you feel?
Connected. Feel that the person, all of a sudden, doesn't matter who it is, becomes beautiful. Colors get brighter. The noise stops. Do you remember those magic eye pictures that were all blurry? But if you stared for them long enough, all of a sudden they become crystal clear, 3-dimensional. It's like that. You're with another person, you're there, and all of a sudden, bing, wow! There's like all this experience of being with the other person that you never saw. You'd never experienced it because you're not actually there. You're in your head.
Of course, I haven't done this exercise, so I can't say from experience, but I think from the way you're describing it, I can at least imagine how powerful it is, because it's like you're saying, we're stuck on screens, we're stuck in what's going on in our heads, we're stuck with our problems. But at that moment, everything else doesn't matter. It's just that person in front of you that you need to be with them. You need to sit with them.
Yeah. I mean, if people are listening to this and they think, oh, this sounds interesting, yeah, I might try that. Good, try it. And if you're in a relationship, obviously it's a lot easier. And you set a timer. I mean, just do 5 minutes and you'll notice stuff. 5 minutes can be a long time when there's no talking and you're just being with the other person. Ideally, it would be 20 minutes. If you do it 20 minutes, it's life altering. If you do it 5 minutes, you get a sense of what we're talking about.
5 minutes. As a sort, let's call it a reset of being with others.
So it's having an experience of actually being with another human being.
Not just sitting there with a meal, not just sitting in the couch, actually being with them. Almost
Yeah, you can be.
looking into their soul.
Yeah, look, I have a. Well, he's not a teenager now, right? But like when my son was a teenager, he'd be sitting in the room, but he's not being with me, and it's hard to be with someone who's not being with you. He's in the room, but he's in his head. You know, it's in some conversation with himself or his phone. It's just there as a body, but no, there's no being connecting.
I think the next question is, what kind of transformations have you seen from those people? Like, have you seen genuine friendships grow from those exercises? Or maybe people reunite that have been maybe far apart for a while? Or emotionally far apart?
It's more rather than the relationship itself with the other person, although that does, it's amazing, that gets boosted. You feel now connected to that person. So when I first did that, I did it in a program I was doing, and I did the exercise, and I got this big tall guy, okay, but then all of a sudden, everything, every like line on his face, everything was just so clear, and it was just like amazing. Okay, and after that, we were always like good friends, you know, even though we didn't hang out together, we didn't do stuff together, we just happened to be in the same program together. But it was always, hey, you know, like, yeah, I know you, like, I have this experience of really knowing you. So it's more like that than, but it, you know, obviously, if you're in a relationship and you do that, it's amazing for the you know, the intimacy of your relationship. It's just going to take it to a whole new level.
Yeah, I can imagine it's one of those that, you know, you're in a relationship, it's day in, day out. Maybe you start, quote unquote, taking things for granted because the other person will be there every day. You maybe start to drift apart ever so slightly.
Yeah.
That exercise can bring them back.
Yeah, well, it's like the brain, oh yeah, I know this, I know that. You know, the brain is filling in most of what you see. 80% of what you see, the brain's just filling it in. It's looking at what's moving, what's changing, because that's where the threat is or the opportunity is. So that's really all. It's everything else is just kind of planting there. And you can test it out. There's various exercises that you can do. You can put your hands on your lap so they're just in your peripheral vision, and then stare ahead. I can't remember the timing, but I think it's like 5 minutes. And then all of a sudden, you just, without looking down, you take your hands away, and all you see are black holes where the hands were. There's nothing, right? Because the brain can't scan to fill that in.
All right, it's a gap in reality.
Yeah, there is no, you're not seeing reality. What you're seeing is a projection from what your brain is imagining is there. I mean, your brain is in a soundproof box, light-proof box. It's just getting signals. So they're all secondhand what it's getting. And then it transmits them, converts that into thoughts, converts that into, in your vision case, into what we see. It's quite mind-blowing when you actually think about it. We're not actually seeing anything as it actually is.
No, it's all fun, all through these.
Yeah, it's all been, you know, it's all been processed by its signals that get processed by the brain, and then the brain says, "There, that's what's in front of you."
Yeah, never thought about it. Secondhand information to the brain.
Yeah.
So we've talked about 2 exercises so far. So the first one, to reconnect to being with another person, and to do this sort of self-check of what we're perceiving.
Yeah.
So what other things Can you tell us about, us being more present in reality and reconnecting with what's around us?
Well, one thing I do is I challenge the what I'm seeing, right? So I take my dog for a walk every morning, take her out. We do about 20 minutes. And this lovely little place where we go. There's trees, there's birds singing. So it's in nature, right? But I go, wait, am I actually seeing this tree? Because your brain is going, yeah, there's a tree. Yeah. Oh, there's a tree. Yeah, yeah. But you're not in the presence of how beautiful it is. You just, yeah, it's a tree. Well, it's kind of, yeah, but I kind of know I've seen it before. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah, it's
you're
one
not
more
seeing
thing.
it fresh and new today. You're kind of, yeah, I know this. And that's deadly for really experiencing the present moment. So one way to challenge yourself that you could take on is, or try it out, try it out. When next time you're out, go, am I really seeing what's in front of me? Am I really am I really seeing this glass? Or am I just going, oh yeah, that's the glass? No, do I actually really see it? Wait, wait. Yeah, 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 until I'm actually seeing it, and then move around the room to the objects in the room, and you'll start to get a 3D-ness to it all. And as you're starting to get this and now you have to keep checking in, because now you know it already. No, do I actually see every little detail? And it's like you're forcing out, you're being conscious of what's there. See, people talk about consciousness. Now, I'll get into a lot of trouble, could do what I'm about to say, but I'd
Go for
like you
it.
to consider there is no consciousness. There's being conscious of. I'm conscious of, but the conscious, I mean, where is that? Is it a something? Is it a cloud or something? What is this consciousness? Well, and it's tricky because, yes, we are what we call conscious, but where is conscious? You can't see conscious, but you're conscious of. I'm conscious of you, or I'm conscious of the objects in this room. I'm conscious of the temperature. I'm conscious of the light in my eyes. I'm aware. I am conscious of that. Versus there's this consciousness somehow.
Yeah, this blob in the universe.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know what the truth is really. I just challenging what I'm experiencing, and by challenging what you're seeing, what you're hearing, by challenging it, you have more opportunity to see more of what's there, experience more of what's there. Oh, that's my husband. Yeah, yeah. No. Do you see your husband? Do you see it? Oh, that's my wife. Yeah, that's my wife. She's upset. No. Do you see your wife? Do you get her upset? Do you actually get what's going on with her? Do you ask her?
It's super fascinating because continually the brain will be thinking of how to keeping us alive. And as part of that, the negative consequence is that you start to lose the meaning in the things that you see regularly, like the glass. The brain assessed, it's not a danger to your life. It's just a glass. I will ignore it from now on.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's like you're saying, if it's not a consciousness, if you continuously have the voluntary act of taking things that are around you, yes, you spend more mental energy because you're doing it deliberately, but you continue to experience vividly what's going on in your life.
Yeah. I have a bit of lemon in this water, right? Now I could just drink it and not pay much attention.
Yeah,
I could go, wow, that's a whole experience. But I have to consciously make myself aware of that, because unconsciously or ordinarily, just going through motion of life, which is what most people are doing, we're just going through the motions, we're just doing what we're doing. Oh, it's today, it's just another day. No, you've never actually had this experience, this moment before, ever. But we turn it into another day. So our experience of it is just the same as all the other mornings we woke up.
I think that, so as you probably know, in the internet, there's always a lot of discussion about self-improvement, and nowadays people start to move more from wanting to to do in real life events, like try to do that connection with people.
Yeah.
And one of the small things that people recommend a lot of times is to, as you go to work or as you go on the walk outside, don't take your phone, or if you
Yeah.
take your phone, at least don't take like earbuds. Just take in what's around you.
Yeah. Yeah. I recommend that. That's very much so. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really good that you've shared these exercises, because I personally I will try them, because I admit I can sometimes fall into that state of, just another day, just another commute to work, the same old,
Yeah.
but actually different
Yeah.
things happen every day.
You know, information doesn't transform you. New information, like I said, you've got to discover it for yourself. But in the experience, and I wrote my book knowing this, and I'm like, well, a book on its own, just reading something, isn't going to transform somebody. And if I work with someone in a program and I get them to the microphone, I can work with them, and 15 minutes later, they have a whole new aspect of life. They have a whole new experience that transform their relationship with their father, let's say, or their boss, and everything's altered for them. Well, I can tell them all that in a book, and they can read it and go, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, but nothing alters. So I gave myself the challenge that reading this book, it's going to have your experience altered. So I just had to put an exercise in. Almost every chapter has an exercise at the end. So you have to do the exercise. And if you don't do the exercise, you're just getting more information. It's not altering you. It's not opening you up to the experience of life. The book's called Free to Lead. And why I wrote the book originally was I leading leadership programs in the Middle East. I was asked to do that by a client of mine. Said, we need a leadership program, particularly for women. I said, okay, I'll create one, because I used to lead one around the turn of the century, around 2000. For 8 years, I led a leadership program in London. So we'll create one. Now I lead this program. It's great. We did it in Dubai. We did it in Cairo. We did it in Casablanca. Now I'm coming out of Casablanca. Just led this program to 120 people. It was 4 days. It was absolutely amazing. But I'm like, it's so hard to get people to come along and do a program, especially given I'm not Arabic. I don't speak Arabic. I have to have everything translated, and I'm this white guy. I said, oh, I need to write a book. Because they'll buy a book, it's just $20, right? They'll buy a book, and then if they get the book and they get hooked in, then they'll want to come and do the program. Excellent. I need to write a book. And then the title is just right there, Free to Lead, because we're not giving people tools and tips on how to be a better leader. What we're doing is freeing you up to be able to be the real you, because the real you is awesome. The real you is not limited. The real you is capable of anything and being any way at all, but you've become limited. You become a smaller version of yourself. So, it all came together like that. And now I just start writing the introduction I was on the train from Casablanca to Tangiers, which is like a 2-hour thing. And in that 2 hours, I wrote the introduction to the book. Now, I've since rewrote it, but it got me like, I got to write this book, And then as I got into it, I go, no, I need to make it in 2 parts. I need to make it really transformational, the first part, so we get all the way to the real you. And then the second part, we can create being an authentic leader that has a vision, that's fulfilling that vision. So, well, the point of that is it's just hard to tell people anything. You've got to sort of engage them. You've got to have them do the challenging and looking and trying out for themselves to discover something new.
Right, because if they just read it's okay, let's store this in my database of knowledge. But if they follow through with your exercises at the end of the chapter, they discover it for themselves as they go through the exercise.
Yeah. If you were to say to someone, oh, you've got limiting beliefs, you go, yeah, I know that. It doesn't tell them anything. If you get into it and discover what they are, it's like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. Well, I knew that, but I didn't know that. That's amazing.
What's the, or rather, let me put this another way. Were these exercises that, for example, you took as inspiration from your past experiences?
Yeah, well, for everyone, it's just like a way to get people to get underneath the surface, to get in with themselves.
Themselves.
Yeah. You know, and I share real examples from my own life or from my participants' life or from my clients' life. Obviously, change their names, but you know, like the biggest initial insight I got, which just broke my reality, was, you know, where I was doing this program, one of the first programs I ever did, and you know, we got that there's a difference between what happens and our interpretation. And of course, I mean, like we said about the brain and what we see, there's what there is and there's what we see. They're not the same. It's an interpretation. But we don't think that what we see is an interpretation, or what we hear is an interpretation. You get two people arguing. I said this. No, you didn't. You said this. No, I know what I said. I said this. No, you didn't. You said this. See, I can say something and you can hear something other than what I'm saying or what I think I'm saying. And that just happens.
Mm-hmm.
So something happens and you have a thought, and then what I call a belief is it's a thought you have that you decide is true. Oh, that's true. My dad doesn't love me. And now it's just the way it is. And you find evidence. And then you interact with that person, let's say your dad, that they don't love you. So now you're a little bit, you know, standoffish, or you don't really talk to them. You don't tell them how you did it, how your day was. And they're kind of grumpy with you, and they don't really talk to you. You go, see, there you go, because he doesn't love me. And your behavior, unbeknownst to you, that gets shaped from what you've decided, shapes what happens, which gives you more evidence of what you decided is the truth. And you're locked in. You're locked into that belief. It's just the way it is. You know?
Yeah.
Whatever it is. I'm not smart. I'm not good enough. I'm not, you know, fill in the blank. And people go through their lives doing that. And for me, I listened to all of this, and then I just remembered this memory came back. Because when you do a lot of this work, memories come back to you, and you see things, and you have the opportunity to go, okay, what happened? That's what happened. My dad told the whole family how I came along. He said, you know, we couldn't afford a third baby. Then Mum got pregnant, and we had 2 boys already. So we thought, well, it'd be nice to have a little girl. So we were looking forward to a little girl, and you popped out. You should have been a little girl. Everyone's laughing. For me, it's the worst news I'd ever heard in my life. I'm 3 years old, and I decided right there they didn't want me. They really didn't want me in the first place. Right, I'm the best. My life became about proving I'm the best. And then I was probably about 31 or 32 at the time. I go, oh my God, my whole life I've had to be proving I'm the best. Wow. Just because he said that, well, actually, he didn't say I wasn't wanted. He said we didn't plan a baby. He said we had 2 boys, so we're looking forward to a girl. It's actually got nothing to do with me because they hadn't met me yet. It was like, wow. Oh, man. And all this emotion came up. You know, I started crying. I started laughing at myself. It was like, oof. I didn't realize I've been impacted so much by that. My whole life was like who I was in the world, was this competitive, hardworking, driven person who had to be the best at whatever they took on. And they had to take on bigger and bigger things. You know, the mountains I was climbing got bigger. Every time when I get to the top of a mountain, I go, oh, this isn't it. Why? Because it doesn't fix how you feel inside. It doesn't fix what you think it's going to fix when you actually accomplish that thing. So what do you have to do? Look for something else to accomplish, then go after that. The illusion continues. Unless you're lucky enough to be, you know, challenged by someone that can get you to get for yourself. Wow. Where did all that come from? what's really going on with you, and you get I mean, I've done that work with people, and they are not the same human being after that conversation. They are free, they're lit up, they don't have to prove anything anymore. And it doesn't mean they throw it all out the window, because I can still be, driven and competitive when I've got a deadline or there's a result I really want to produce. I can do that, but I own it. It's not running me. And it's a big difference.
I think it's what people also call that you do the work to really understand where it's coming from. And at that point, you can turn it from quote unquote toxic fuel. It's not from a point of I'm gonna prove them wrong. That's why I need to achieve all of this, to healthy fuel. Because you're using it as a way to motivate yourself to, okay, I want to try this. I want to see if I can close this deal, if I can deliver to an even bigger audience.
Yeah. I mean, you could even go down to, how come I keep getting annoyed with this person? And if that's your partner, your relationship is not going to be great if you're always getting annoyed with them. Why do I keep getting annoyed with them? I'd like you to consider it's not them. Very difficult to get at the beginning, but they remind you of something.
Ooh.
What you hear. You hear things you've heard before newly when you start engaging in the kind of conversations I engage with people. So you hear things like, oh, you can't love others till you love yourself. I'd heard that, but it never registered with me until I got, oh, I wasn't wanted. So I didn't love me because I wasn't wanted. I didn't know that. I didn't even know that. But now everything made sense with my relationships. It never seemed to be it. Why? Because I didn't love myself. So somebody's saying to you, you can't love others till you love yourself. So you need to love yourself. Oh, yeah, good, great. Thank you very much. You've got no access to that. Your access is getting to where you stopped loving yourself. And before that, you weren't even thinking about loving yourself. You were just being. You were just a human being. But at some point, when you made yourself wrong for being whatever way you thought you were or weren't, and had to be another way to make up for that, now you've made who you are wrong. And it's all over. You're never going to get that true love experience for another while you're still making yourself wrong. Now, saying that to people gives them some insight, but it doesn't give them access to it. They have to do that kind of work to get to it. I wish I had a quick answer for people that fixed everything. No, you got to do the work. You got to engage. A really good friend of mine is Gary Bishop. Well, people know him as Gary John Bishop. He wrote Unfuck Yourself, and he wrote Stop Doing That Shit. And he's written about 6 or 7 books now. He's been super successful. He and I worked together for about 3.5 years. And that's where he got a lot of his knowledge from. And then obviously went on afterwards. When he left the organization, he did a lot of studying himself and reading himself. But he and I, we were very close when we worked together, and we remained close when he left, and then eventually I left. But that being in that game of trying to give people access to what's really available is a challenge, but it's a great challenge, I
think a very important thing from your work is also, because you could have found all of this and kept it to yourself. But okay, I can find what make things better for me. I realized what was going on in my wiring. Cool.
Yes.
But you're actually working in service of other people.
Yeah.
So thank you, Will, for going out and spreading this, because you could have just kept it to yourself. But no, you're out here helping people to find this about themselves.
Well, what you'll discover is, or what I discovered was, that's even better than getting it yourself when you get somebody else to get it. When you see someone, all of a sudden, their whole life makes sense. All of a sudden, all this emotion comes up. They cry their eyes out for a little while, and then it's all gone. And then all of a sudden, like knocked out. They're just knocked out by how wrong they were about themselves or their parents or life or whatever, and then all of a sudden they're a whole new person, and it's like they are vulnerable and fresh and new in that moment, but it's so beautiful, and they're so free, and they are forever grateful, which I don't kind of like too much, you know. Always saying thank you. All right, great. You don't have to do that. It's fine. Just go on with your life, you know. Give it away to other people, you know. I think inherent in us human beings is we want to contribute. We want to help other people. I know we might get a bit bitter and twisted and not want that, but really, when you really get in touch with who you really are, that's what really lights us up. Being able to actually make a difference with others. That's all I want to do.
Yeah, it's really powerful. There's something about doing it for someone else rather than doing it for you having another medal in your trophy case.
Yeah. I mean, look at you doing your, I read the show notes, right? And you started on your own journey, and then you've been exploring. Oh, I might as well make a podcast of it. And now you're opening doors for other people. Why? Why bother? Well, you know,
Other people
answer your
go
own
through the
question.
same.
Exactly. Isn't it great when people say, oh, I listened to your show and wow, I got this, you know, that's amazing. I'm so happy, you know, then, you know, it's working. Like what your life is about is contributing, you know, and, you know, to be a leader, and I say this in my book, to really be a leader, you got to be up to something bigger than your own petty concerns. Even if your concern's making loads of money, all right, great. But if it's not in service of something, you know, I don't mind getting paid lots of money for what I do. I transform people's lives. I have their businesses explode, you know. So I don't mind getting paid loads of money for that. But if it wasn't making that difference and it was just making money, I wouldn't be doing it. Because I don't need much money, you know. I don't need a lot of money myself.
So I think, because one thing I've noticed a lot in people my age, people I work with, is sometimes, like me having started doing that work, I can see there's an inkling of that person needing to quote unquote have that talk with themselves as well.
Yeah.
But what would you say is the thing that can people look out for in themselves to see, maybe I do need this conversation with myself?
I'm sorry, I don't quite get the question. So
sometimes it's easier to see from the outside that the person might need that conversation with themselves. But what would you say is a good way for the person to understand they need to do that work?
well, nobody needs to do it.
Oh, interesting.
I don't need to do it. You can perfectly well get through life with never ever doing any challenging, introspective work on yourself. You can go through life being right about everything and arguing with everybody, and you know it's a valid way to go through life. So you don't have to do anything. But if you're interested, you know, in enhancing the experience of being alive and being a bigger, more fulfilled human being on the planet and interacting and being able to contribute and able to impact life and make a difference with people and life and what's happened. If you're interested in that, then you really do need to work on yourself so that you can give it away and contribute it to others. You know, the work I've done on myself, I mean, people wouldn't believe the kind of work I've done on myself. I was a forum leader, and the training for a forum leader it's unbelievable. People wrote books about it and how bad it is, and they shouldn't be allowed to do it. But I don't regret any of it. It was really, really tough. I mean, I did Air Force training, officer training, and all that. That was nothing compared to the training to be able to be with any kind of human being. You know, I've been locked in a room till 3 o'clock in the morning until I don't react to the thing that I would react about. If someone got up in a program and said blah blah blah, and I'd react because I'm defending something, it would end up not going well the interaction. And it's not just between you and that person. Everyone else listening in is now, disturbed. So you got to be able to be with anything. Someone gets up, and in my case, one of the big ones was, you don't really know what you're talking about, do you? You don't really know, do you? And of course, you don't really know. That's actually the point. The moment you know something, you reduce it to a summary. You reduce it to that's that. Versus actually being in the fullest experience of it is in the not knowing. And keep getting you don't know. Socrates, a very famous philosopher, said, look, for sure, the only thing I really know is, only thing, and I've studied lots of things, the only thing I really know is I don't actually know anything. It's all a concept. I mean, all the laws of physics, they all got all of a sudden thrown up in the air, and now they don't know how to explain what they're seeing at the known edges of the universe. It's hard to make sense of it. So all the explanations we have are literally just explanations. But when you can be open to that and keep challenging your views and keep looking for what you've not seen before, you're turning your life into a journey, into an actual ongoing, fresh and new experience. There is no time. Time is a concept. There's no yesterday. There's no last week. It doesn't exist anywhere. You can't find it. There's no tomorrow.
It's just the sun going around and around.
Well, it's just where it is right now. There's just this. This right now is all there is. There is nothing else. Time is made up. And we live like it's kind of linear. Like, this is an analogy I was given recently. Like, we live like we're like bridged across a river, and time's coming towards us, and then it's going away down the river. Right? Whereas actually, I think this was Alan Watts, that it's actually more like you're standing at the side of the river and time is just going by. Life is just going by. There is no past or future. There's just life happening. What you see there right now in this moment is what there is.
I genuinely, it's going to be weird what I'm going to say next, but I think genuinely I wouldn't ever understood these words of time being a concept before this conversation with you. After all those exercises we were discussing about the importance of being, the importance of understanding what's around us, be it the objects or other people, now I can understand this concept of there's no concept of time. There's the now. It's just passing through you.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Yeah, I recommend, I recommend read my book, but listen to the audiobook. I think when I listen to Eckhart Tolle, he wrote the book The Power of Now. You've probably heard of the book, right? The Power of Now.
I've heard about it.
But when I read it, I found myself losing concentration. I find it hard. So I got the audiobook. And then I got the audiobook, and his voice irritated me. It was like, oh, God, what a horrible voice. Right? He's got this weird accent. Oh, man, what is that? However, after a very short period of time, it actually, I fell in love with it because it had some way of penetrating the ordinary way you want to listen to this nice, comfortable voice. No, he's got his voice, and it's his voice, and it does penetrate. So I read the book and listen to him. He's reading the book, the audio book and the book. And since I did that, I was like, well, that's it. That's how to really get a book, or to get more out of a book than just reading it. If you can listen to it and read it at the same time. So, if I get a book that I want to study, I just studied Influence, the big book Influence, got the name of the guy, Kagan or something like that. Anyway, I got the audiobook because it was just like, oh, come on, get to the point, man, get to the point. Then I got the audiobook and I speeded him up. So he spoke to 1.5 instead of the normal speed because I found him going too slow. So he was the opposite. He was talking so slow. So it speeded him up to match my kind of, and then I could get the book. But my point is, it's good to listen and read at the same time. They've actually studies show that that's how you can learn more, you know?
I've never heard of that before, but hearing it now makes so much more sense because you have the book in front of you, so you can fully capture the
Yeah.
words, but you also
Yes.
have someone telling you about what you're reading.
Yeah. If you can get the author, you know, Eckhart Tolle does, he reads it, right? So I did the audiobook for my book. I had to go to the studio for a week, you know, every day for a week to record it all. But it's, you know, I've rewritten it. One of my methodologies to be able to read it out loud and hear myself reading it, and it flows, it's right. So actually doing the audiobook was really easy because I had really done that for so long, you know. It wasn't like I'm reading, you know. No, this is me saying, and this is it. This is what there is, you know. So yeah, it's a fun experience. It's a challenging, fun, yeah, experience writing the book to get it to say what you want it to say, you know. So I took 14 months. You know, I wasn't prepared to let it go out until it was saying what I needed it to say to be able to give people access to what I'm trying to give them access to.
Just out of curiosity, if you can share this, well, did you like share the manuscript with close friends or someone that you knew could benefit from the book? Did you have any sort of those experiments?
Yeah, I did that, and I also I got an editor to work through it with me. And the first thing they said was, you need to split it into two parts. There's two books here, or you can do part one and part two. And that gave me a lot of clarity because then I could just focus. All the first half is just all the, it could be for anybody. You know, it doesn't have to be a leadership book at all for the first half. The first half is about limiting beliefs. It's about your automatic reactions. It's about your strategies for success, your self-sabotaging mechanisms, how fear runs your life, how we're afraid to be afraid, you know, the mind stuff you and I were talking about. The whole, it's like that's the whole book. And then the second part is like, right, now we've got to that. Now let's talk about leadership. What does authentic leadership actually look like? What does it even mean? And how do you develop yourself to be an authentic leader? So that's that book. So it's like two books in one, really. Like that.
Well, we could. I have one more question. Would you recommend this? I don't want to say self-help, but do you recommend someone reading through the first part to better understand themselves and go also to the second part to, be a better leader in their community, in their day-to-day lives?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you've got the book. You may as well, not just may as well. I mean, when you're expressing leadership, for me, it's authentically you expressing yourself. If you're in a situation and there's something to be said and you're not saying it, you're waiting for somebody else to say it, you're not being yourself. So for me, one of my definitions of leadership is that a leader speaks up and deals with what's happening in the moment. They deal with it. They don't walk over it or pretend it's not happening or wait for someone else to deal with it. You can exercise leadership and you don't have to have the title, the badge, the position, somebody else's say so. You can provide leadership from wherever you are, in your family, in your community, at work. Even if you're, got the lowest position in the company, you can provide leadership. Guys, we need to deal with this, whatever this is. That's leadership right there.
You become the tip of a arrow to deal with a problem.
Yeah. You don't wait for somebody else. That's called leadership. You take the lead, you speak up. And most people have got so conditioned in life that they've stopped speaking up, or they daren't speak up, or they're concerned if they do speak up, what will people think, or what will people say? And they'd end up not living their life. And they tolerate your life is a function of what you're willing to tolerate. So if you're willing to tolerate things, you get that kind of life where you're tolerating all this stuff around you and let people walk all over you and let people just do or say whatever they do. When you don't tolerate that stuff, you deal with it.
I think even just from this conversation, I think we've come full circle of first making peace with, or not making peace, but even, okay, maybe there's something I need to change about myself, or at least understand about myself.
Yeah.
And by having that transformative process within yourself, you can also start to better see what's around you, better connect with other people, better connect with the environment around you, and you regain that energy that's allowing yourself to go out and lead someone, lead a group of people, make change,
Express
make things
yourself.
better.
Self-expression, expressing the self, the real self. Yeah. That's what the gift is for people. Expressing your true self, which is different from, just giving your opinion. Like I could give the opinion of the woman across the street like it's mine, but it's not. It's actually not. That's just automatic. That's not what I'm committed to.
I think to wrap it up, well, what will be, so for someone that's listening to our conversation that might be in those early stages of, you know what, I don't want to put up with this anymore. I really, no, things are wrong in my life. I want to start doing something about it.
Yep.
What will be your top advice for them?
Well, start, by telling the truth. I mean, get my book, if you run a company or a business, you can reach out to me, come to my website, willsteele.com, reach out to me. We can have a conversation, see if it's a fit for you and I to work together. But you can just start with the book, start with the book, read the book. And if it opens something up for you, which if you take it seriously, it definitely has the capacity to do that. And it's a book. It's not the same as being in a one-on-one conversation with a human being who, hears things you can't hear, sees things you can't see. Only because I've done so much work on myself, like 27 years of work on myself. I'm always working on myself. I'm always having to deal with my own bullshit, I missed a call this morning. It was 6:30 this morning. I missed a call, and it was another podcast. So, I think they're in New Zealand or something, and I put it in my calendar at 6:30 p.m. And I'd agreed to. I went back through the emails, and I had agreed to 6:30 a.m. I was not present when I agreed to it, and I didn't put something in place to go, oh, tomorrow morning you have that thing. I didn't. I just got to the end of my day, closed my calendar, and went to bed. But the thing started before my day normally starts. Like, it was at 6:30 in the morning. So I missed the whole thing. And I'm all about integrity. And I missed it. So I got to deal with that. I've immediately got back to the person. I immediately started to clean that up with them. What can I do to, they were sitting there waiting for me. So, I'm dealing with my integrity ongoingly, always. Otherwise, I'm just full of it. And I become ordinary. You have to keep interrupting that if you want to be a leader, if you want to be extraordinary, if you want to be someone who can impact life and make a difference around you with those you love. It's not do as I say, not as I do. No, you've got to demonstrate it.
Yeah, I think it's really that idea that you can't just tell people about standards, you need to embody them.
Totally. Yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jose. Great conversation. Loved it.
Likewise. And so where can people find more about you? You mentioned your website.
Yeah. www.willsteele.com. And if you want to find out about the book, just put willsteele.com/free to lead. And then you have to put .php for some reason. I don't know what PHP stands for, but that goes to the book page, tells you all about the book. You can even download the first chapter for free. So, check it out. I'm very, very happy with the audiobook, though. I listened to my dad listening to it, and that incident we talked about, he goes, I never said that. I didn't say that. And my dad's 86, so I went down to calm him down. I said, well, who knows what you said? This is what I remembered. And this is what I did with it. So whatever you said is almost irrelevant. It's what I did. Whew. I said, how are you feeling? He goes, I'm disturbed. I said, oh, okay. He's reading my book and he's disturbed, but actually it's disturbed in a good way, because within a week, he then shared with me, because we talk like this, like on Zoom, and he shared with me, he said, I did it. I said, what? He said, I did it. I said, I told your brother for the first time ever in my life. First time ever. He said, he came, because he comes down once a week and they never talk. There's always frosty, there's awkward silence. But my brother came to visit him once a week. He said, I did it. He said, it was harder than I thought. He said, you know, I want you to know I love you. I said, you did? He said that? He said, yeah. I said, wow, awesome. I said, what did he say? Oh, he said, I should think you do and all. That was never going to happen. But that was the result of him listening to the book. It somehow disturbed him that he's got a relationship with his eldest son and he never told him he loved him. And it caused him to do it. And a week later, our next week's call, when I called up, I hear all this laughing going on in the background. There's my brother there, and they're having all this fun and laughing and joking. That just not like that. The whole household is altered, you know? So I do know the book can make a difference.
Thank you, Will, for putting it out into the world and for your service to your family and the rest of the world. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
It was a pleasure, Will.
Thanks, Jose.
And for anyone listening, all the links will be in the description. So please, by all means, go check out the book and the audiobook as well for the full experience.
Great.